Greetings everyone. We are about to review Omen Gaming Laptop 17 2024. Please note that this video is in no way a promotional video. It is based on available facts and user opinions from social media and websites. Now, let's examine the laptop specifications in detail to reach the actual facts and the score we can give to the laptop. Processor AMD Ryzen 7 8845HS. Processor specifications up to 5.1 GHz max boost clock, 16 MB L3 cache, 8 cores, 16 threads. Graphics. Integrated AMD Radeon graphics. Discrete NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070 laptop GPU 8 GB GDDR6 dedicated. Display. 17.3-inch diagonal QHD 48 to 240 Hz, 3 milliseconds response time, IPS, micro edge, anti-glare, low blue light, 300 nits, 100% sRGB. Memory. DDR5-5600 MHz RAM. Storage. PCIe Gen 4 NVMe Performance M.2 SSD. Laptop design and body: the big and heavy gamer. Black plastic, which also feels good, dominates everywhere. There are no visual highlights, small details, or even light effects to admire. HP still performs poorly in the design of its laptop chassis compared to other competitors. As we said, our criterion for ranking appearance is not important because it is completely subjective. But when you try to lift the laptop, or when, in our case, you take it directly out of the box, it becomes clear that HP certainly hasn't skimped on using massive components inside. The weight is not far from the 3 kilograms mark, although if you lift it only at the front corner, the base remains unaffected. Everything remains stiff and solid. We can consider the weight of the laptop both a negative and a positive point, but you shouldn't expect a gaming laptop to be light. The display hinges offer a similar feel, but the display lid could use a little more stability and bends relatively easily without any additional metal frame. In terms of overall size, there are only a few models that are even larger. A width of 40 centimeters and a height of 3 centimeters even without the feet doesn't seem very mobile. On the other hand, this ensures plenty of space for hardware and cooling, although it may be too large for some laptop bags or backpacks. Here's a breakdown of some key points. Design: dominated by black plastic, lacking visual appeal, and considered inferior to competitors. Weight: heavy, which is both a positive and negative aspect for a gaming laptop. Build quality: solid and sturdy, but the display lid could be more stable. Size: large and bulky, providing ample space for components but limiting portability. Before anything else, I should mention that we don't prioritize connectivity, webcam, and ports for scoring. This is because most laptops now adhere to certain standards. For example, Wi-Fi 6 in gaming series, or USB 3, or Full HD webcams in most laptops, which can be said to be of low quality. Maintenance. The HP Omen 17 earns positive points for the ease of opening the bottom cover. Once you remove the 8 standard Phillips screws, the case cover offers no resistance and can be easily removed without force. This allows you to clean the fans and replace all major components. 2 RAM slots, a WLAN module with its antenna plugs easily accessible, 2 SSD slots, and an easily removable battery are not things that many more compact laptops can offer. At least in this complete combination. Additionally, there are copper heat sinks for the M.2 SSD slots, which apparently have an effect, as we will see later in the test. One of the slots is still available, making it easy to add storage later. Here's a summary of the key points. Standardized features. The reviewer is not focusing on features like Wi-Fi 6, USB 3, and 720p webcams, as they are now standard in many laptops. Easy maintenance. The HP Omen 17 is praised for its easy accessibility. The bottom cover can be removed without much effort, allowing for cleaning and component replacement. Upgradability: the laptop offers 2 RAM slots, 2 SSD slots, and an easily removable battery, making it highly customizable. Cooling: the copper heat sinks for the SSDs suggest that HP has paid attention to thermal performance. In essence, the reviewer is highlighting the HP Omen 17's excellent accessibility for maintenance and upgrades, which is a significant advantage for users who want to customize their laptops. Display: well adjusted to the offered gaming performance. Regarding the display, based on our tests, the Omen Gaming Laptop 17DB0047NR 2024 uses a 17-inch screen with a 240 Hz refresh rate, which is well suited to the gaming performance offered. Some of the features that can be mentioned are high image accuracy and clarity. Another feature is the 16:9 format, which is also suitable for streaming. The colors of the IPS panel appear relatively natural, and its matte surface prevents distracting reflections. The 240 Hz refresh rate and sufficiently large color space allow for enjoyable display of various game genres, which is another feature. What is less impressive is the contrast and black value. Even for an IPS panel, where we don't expect perfect blackness anyway, the picture looks too bright in absolute darkness. On the other hand, we can't detect screen bleed at all with our naked eyes, or very little with long exposure. We also see no flickering from pulse width modulation in our test. The color reproduction is okay even without an additional calibration. We only measure a higher deviation with blue color that could also be noticeable with the bare eye. In the other color areas, including the grayscale, the color reproduction is almost perfect in the state of delivery. After the calibration, there are no outliers anymore, and the color accuracy is at a high level throughout. The sRGB color space, which is recommended for gaming, isn't covered completely. But that should hardly be noticeable in practice, and simpler displays show a third less colors. However, some competitors such as the Alienware M16 or 2 are able to reach a full 100% with the same panel technology. If you want to do image and video processing on the side, such a display would be the better choice. Outdoors, you should definitely sit in the shade if you still want to recognize anything on the screen. The limited brightness of the Omen 17 means that even the brightness of a slightly overcast sky can limit your ability to see anything on the display. But the image looks pale even so. The colors have no vibrancy outdoors and are covered by a gray veil. If you want to enjoy gaming in colorful splendor, you have to play indoors. In contrast to what we usually see in an IPS panel, the HP Omen with QHD resolution shows some clearly noticeable color changes starting from viewing angles of about 45 degrees. Until then, the image remains easily recognizable, and we also don't notice any decrease in brightness before that point. Beyond 45 degrees, all the colors show a slight yellow tint. Performance: the Omen 17 is a balanced gaming laptop. The Ryzen 7 runs constantly at 65 watts instead of 70 or even 80 watts as in the Schenker XMG Core 15, for example. The GPU is also slightly throttled and is only able to use 120 instead of the maximum possible 140 watts comparable gaming laptops, such as the Asus TUF Gaming A17 FA707 are able to get a slightly higher performance from the graphics card, although that not only has advantages and won't necessarily lead to noticeably higher frame rates. Processor: the AMD Ryzen 7 8845HS is a fast processor from the Hawkpoint series that uses the Zen 4 architecture and almost reaches the performance of the AMD Ryzen 9 7940HS of the previous generation. It also performs at about eye level with the Intel Core i7-13700H. However, the 8 identical cores in the Ryzen 7 are repeatedly able to gain a small advantage ahead of the 6 performance cores in the i7-13700H, particularly while gaming. While we can almost always observe a slight drop in the constant performance with the competitors, the CPU is able to perform constantly at a good level here. System performance: During everyday tasks that we evaluated with PC Mark 10 and some other similar benchmarks, there is basically no noticeable difference to comparable systems. The values are at the level of a more powerfully configured Ryzen 7 8845HS and in the middle of the field of competitors. Although there is just barely a 10% difference between the highest and lowest value in the table. The laptop is responsive at all times and doesn't show any wait times during installation processes or when numerous programs are opened simultaneously. Even while playing a demanding game, it continues to be possible to switch to another application, although this is rarely recommended. Graphics card. The HP Omen 17 uses the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070 graphics card. We only had to forego the maximum detail settings with the newest games if we still wanted to get more than 60 FPS. The RTX 4070 is able to consume a maximum of 120 watts here, which is below its allowed maximum value of 140 watts, but this isn't very noticeable, particularly in the synthetic benchmarks of 3D Mark. And at times we even observe the opposite. For example, the Asus TUF Gaming A17, which is better equipped on paper with an RTX 4070 with 140 watts, falls behind 9% overall. However, the distance is smaller in the gaming performance. We probably see the effect of the HP Omen 17 not needing to throttle here. I'd like to draw your attention to a few statistics, charts, and comparisons. Gaming performance. With merely high instead of maximum detail settings, the HP Omen 17 is reliably able to surpass the 100 FPS mark in full HD resolution. This also goes for current games. With several games, the differences to other gaming laptops with the RTX 4070 are only a few percentage points. But graphically demanding games such as Cyberpunk 2077 2.1 are much more playable with the Omen 17. The smaller GPU is still able to master older games at eye level, though. The difference between the quieter balanced mode and maximum performance remains small. Often 100 FPS are reached even then. So we can say overall that the decision for a lower TGP didn't bring any serious disadvantages worth mention in gaming. Since the available computing performance remains stable, the Omen 17 even has an advantage at times under constant load. The constant load test with Cyberpunk 2077 2.1 also shows the stability of the laptop's performance, resulting in an almost perfectly straight line from beginning to end. With the reduced power consumption, the Omen 17 does not need to throttle at any time. Noise levels. The fan control under load shows a successful cooling implementation. Even in moments of the highest performance, the noise never gets annoying, even though it is then clearly audible. In contrast to competitors such as the Alienware M16 or 2, headphones won't be absolutely necessary at those times, although they'd still be recommended. The Omen 17 does even better in balanced mode, which only brings some small limitations in the performance. As long as the game is only halfway interesting, you should hardly notice the fan noise anymore. In addition, the included software will allow you to easily make further adjustments to the fan speed in order to lower the noise level some more. Unfortunately, the gaming laptop never really remains absolutely quiet, though. Even without any load, the fans rev up from time to time, and although they don't go up to maximum speed levels, it is still very audible. The Omen 17 remains far from reaching any critical temperatures. Temperatures. Both during idle operation as well as under high load, the Omen 17 remains cooler than many of its competitors. Particularly the palm rests hardly get warm. In the keyboard area, on the other hand, the temperature increase is clearly noticeable during gaming. An external solution is recommended here, particularly since the built-in keyboard isn't very impressive anyways. During simple tasks such as surfing the internet or working on office tasks, the whole device remains cool and comfortable to operate. You can also use it comfortably on your lap. Stress test. When the CPU is put under full load with Prime 95, it constantly consumes the allowed 65 watts, although this is a smaller value than that of some competitors with the same CPU. It remains constant over longer time periods. The temperature of the core remains at an acceptable 80 degrees Celsius or lower. Only under additional load on the graphics card does the HP Omen 17 reach its limits. When both components run at full performance, the power consumption remains at its maximum values of 50 watts for the CPU and 120 watts for the graphics card. The temperatures will then increase to almost 90 degrees Celsius for the CPU and 75 degrees Celsius for the GPU. During the stress test, the clock speed of the CPU remains at around 4,500 MHz, dropping to about 4,000 MHz when the graphics chip is added.